Welcome to this episode of Ask the Guitar Coach, the only podcast where you get answers to all your guitar-related questions. If you're interested in developing your guitar skills and reaching your music goals, please send me an email at the email address ioannis@ioannis.org. That is IOANNIS at IOANNIS.org, so that I can let you know about all the different packages of elite guitar coaching and how you can get private coaching by me. Without further ado, let's go to our question for the day. I'm pretty okay with soloing over the minor pentatonic scale, but I'm having trouble with the major scale. Do you have any advice? So here's a nice improvisation question. Our viewer is doing fine with the minor pentatonic scale, the basic classic rock sound, but he's having some trouble with the major sound, the major pentatonic scale. So is there any way to help him and get him to develop his soloing chops on this, with this scale and this specific sound? And the answer is absolutely yes. You should start by listening to country music and to country rock, southern rock. This is going to be the easiest way to start hearing the scale and to start understanding its sound, and also assimilating subconsciously some of the licks. You're not going to learn them necessarily from the recordings, but you can hear what they're supposed to sound like. So some bands that you could listen to would be the Eagles, would be Alabama, or Lynyrd, Skynyrd. All these are great bands that have very good major pentatonic soloing. So they will give you good examples to base your playing on. Let's see some really good guitar players that play on this major pentatonic sound. Albert Lee is a great guitar player. Ray Flack, great country player. Danny Gatton, the late Danny Gatton, very, very good player. Great chops in major soloing. Even more contemporary players like Zakk Wylde or Steve Morse, they have very, very good major pentatonic playing. Not in all their songs, because lots of the songs are in minor keys, but several of their songs are major, and you can really hear the sound quality of the major scale. But honestly, the most important thing is to start listening to this kind of music and then getting the inspiration to seep into your playing, because right now I'm getting the impression that you're trying to do it the other way around. It's like, okay, there is a scale, so how do I use it? Well, it doesn't work like that. You hear other people using the scale and you get inspired by the musical examples, and then you say, oh, I want to do this myself, and this is how they come into your playing. You cannot go so laboratory-like and just say, okay, here is a scale, whether this is the major scale or the Mixolydian flat 13 scale, and just say, okay, I want to start to use it. You need some examples, some musical examples to excite you and to get your interest. So how do you hear? How do you start hearing the scale? And I know this sounds kind of a weird thing to say, how do you hear the scale? But it's basically what it means is, how do you develop the smart fingers that Steve Vai talks about in some of his lessons. And the best way to do that is to play over a drone. So if you have an A drone and you play a major scale over it. So using a drone as a background, whether it's going to be just a recorded A note, or it's going to be a keyboard just playing one note, or just a bass note, it's a very good way to start understanding how this scale works. I'm going to use a very, very simple example where I'm just going to play one note on the guitar here, and then just play a couple of notes over it to give the tonality of the scale. So let's see. Here's an A note. So all these spells out the A major pentatonic scale. This is our root. And if you play over a drone, exactly because there's nothing else to base your playing on, and you can only use your own creativity to fill up the sound. While if you're playing over a backing track, there's the drums, there's the bass, there's the keyboards, there's maybe a second guitar, so it gives you a lot of instructions, let's say, to follow. But if you're playing over just one drone, just one note, this is how you start hearing the scale. And when I say hearing the scale, once again, I mean being able to basically predict what it's going to sound like the next thing you're going to play with your fingers. I mean, supposedly you already know the shapes, okay? I'm not going to go there. This is definitely a given before you get started. So by listening to those artists I just mentioned, you can get a lot of inspiration, you can get a lot of musical examples, and you start hearing this scale and what it sounds like, and then you're ready to start using it yourself. So there you have it. I hope this was helpful, and you'll be up to using this scale, both the pentatonic scale and the major scale, in no time. I will see you on the next episode of Ask the Guitar Coach, and until then, keep sending me your questions and I'll do my best to answer them in a future video.